What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Higher Purpose Podcast, episode 10.
Episode 10. Chris, how are we doing today, my friend?
Doing amazing.
We are joined by my good friend, Brendan Shane over here, gang. So quick, Brendan, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, brother, but I'll just do the quick backstory to how we know each other. So me and Brendan know each other from some mutual friends of ours, Jess Van Doren and Jay Bingham. Shout out Jess and Jay. Love you guys. But so we were all in Atlanta at the same time. Jess and Jay, were they visiting you or just in Atlanta at that point in time?
Yeah, they were visiting us. We had been there for about 3 months at that point, and so they just came down to visit.
Yeah, all right. So me and Brendan had mutual friends, and we all got together. They introduced me. We hit it off. I really like this dude, but unfortunately, I left Atlanta very quickly afterwards. So lost touch a little bit there, but Brendan reached out to me recently. He had seen Chris and I doing the podcast and throwing up some fitness stuff. And he let me know that he was opening up a couple gyms in Charleston where he's living right now, and they're called Madabolic. It was funny because when he told me, I was like, Madabolic, dude, I literally was just a group instructor at this place that's known to upstate New York called Madabolic. And I was like, this is kind of wild. Like, I wonder what this is all about. But so we reconnected, and we were going back and forth a little bit. And we decided that we would love to have Brendan come on the podcast and discuss with us how he decided he wanted to open up some Madabolics and how that process is going. And I don't want to take your spotlight, my friend. So if you want to do a quick intro of yourself and how you got to this point, everyone would love that. Everyone would love that guy.
Yeah, absolutely. First off, thanks for having me, guys. Super excited to be here. And so my name is Brendan Shane. I live down in Charleston, South Carolina, originally from upstate New York, Rochester. So not too far from where you guys are. And yeah, so I'm down here in Charleston, decided to go ahead and open up two gym locations here. Those are Madabolic gyms. So Madabolic's a franchise based out of Charlotte, North Carolina. And I've always had a passion for fitness. It's always been a huge part of my life. Growing up, I was pretty heavily involved in ice hockey. So, starting when I was 10 or 11 years old, I started working out. Obviously not heavy weight training, but just getting into the scene. And from that perspective, I was able to see pretty instant results. When you go to the gym, you get better on the ice. And so fitness, therefore, has always been a huge part of my life. And I'm not a hardo fitness guy. I can miss workout days. I can have cheat meals, but it's always something that I believe heavily in. And so as I've kind of progressed on my entrepreneurial journey, I had the opportunity to open up these gyms, and I see it as a win-win, something that I'm really passionate about, and something that also can benefit myself financially as well as the community. And so that's kind of how I got to this point.
That's amazing, bro.
Now, what type of gyms are these? Are these like group class gyms? Are they open membership? Tell us a little bit about Madabolic.
Yeah, that's a great question. So these are group fitness classes. And so it's a strength-based interval training style. And so we are the only strength-based interval training in the market right now. So if you look around at, some of the Orange Theories, the F45s, a lot of it is cardio-based interval training. And so we're very unique with the strength-based approach. And that's something that I heavily believe in, and something that allowed me to believe in the product and ultimately invest in it. And so we're really focused on kind of three different key areas. So number one is going to be momentum. And so on momentum days, everything is going to be based around a work to rest ratio. That's going to be a 2-to-1 work to rest ratio. So focusing on athleticism, endurance, building that gradual pace gradual pace and intensity. And then on your anaerobic days, you're going to have your 1-to-1 rest ratio. So speed and power, focusing on training and not just exercising. And then your durability days are going to be your 3-to-1 rest ratios, really, really grueling strength and stamina with an emphasis on time under tension. So a unique approach in the market that I believe in, that resonated with my training style. And so that's ultimately what allowed me to believe in the product and invest in it.
Have you trained at Madabolic locations before, or how did you become introduced in the first place?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. So I actually had a friend up in Charlotte. So there's no locations currently in Charleston, hence why I'm bringing them here. But he was a member of Madabolic, and he just could not say enough good things about the Madabolic gym. And he used to play hockey with me, so our training styles are very similar. A lot of times when we just go into regular group fitness gyms, we're not really satisfied with the output. And so he had me come up for a session, and I went through a training, and the next day I felt muscles hurt that I didn't even know that I had. And so he introduced me to the concept, and from there, I ended up talking to the owners, who are former professional hockey players and had created this hockey culture in this gym franchise system. And so right away, I identified with what they were doing, who they were, their background, everything like that. And from the start, it was just a great fit.
Dude, that's amazing. That's awesome. And so you just like discuss with them like how like what the next steps would be like to be able to introduce it to Charleston, or how did that like how does that
Yeah.
process work exactly?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the time, they had only had about 30 locations across the US. They're growing very fast. And so I had kind of brought up the opportunity. Hey, is this something that you'd be interested in bringing to Charleston? And they were totally game for it. Obviously, the more growth, expansion, and eyeballs that you can get on a concept, the more that it's going to perform. And so I went up there, and that same weekend that I trained there, we had what's called a discovery day. So that's when they kind of walk you through the beginning steps of becoming a franchisee with those gyms. And since then, that was back in March of last year, so almost a year ago. And we didn't end up signing until June. So about a 3 or 4 month timeline there. And now we're still trying to find physical locations for these gyms. So it's a very elongated process.
Sure. Yeah, man. Absolutely. It sounds like it. Is the goal still to open them up around like the springtime or summertime? Or you guys like the locations have to be essentially like pretty similar, like square footage wise, like the buildings have to be, because if they're the franchise, like they
Right.
have to be like the same product, like both gyms, correct?
That's exactly right. So we're looking for a very specific space, and location. So first of all, we're going to focus on the demographics of the area, making sure that our target clients are, populated in that area, right? Age demographics, household income, family size, everything like that. And then we have to go and find the actual location. So one of the biggest challenges has been finding a space to lease. Believe it or not, Charleston right now has a 0.01% vacancy rate, basically meaning that 0.01% is the number of retail space that ends up being available. And so it has definitely been a challenge. We're working right now on an LOI to get something under lease here within the next couple of weeks. But yeah, the goal is still to have one open by this summer.
That's amazing, bro.
That's I feel like that was one of the hardest parts of my process of doing this was finding the right spot. So it does take and like a matter of miles makes a huge difference. So when take your time and go with your gut. That's what I think.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so would you say like the biggest like challenge so far with opening it up like has been like finding that space, and is the demographic, would you say it's like more around our age, or more people that are like busy moms or something? Because if the classes cut down to, for example, Metabolic, I was at, the classes were 45 minutes in length. So a lot of like parents and stuff, it was very intense and they were super dedicated, but the time frame was so important that people would be able to get in and out, because obviously that's such a huge excuse, I mean, that people use, that they can't work out and move and do any of that stuff.
That's exactly right. So our target market is going to be 25 to 45 year olds. And obviously we're going to have outliers there, and we can tailor it to anybody, but specifically that demographic, because we're targeting high performers. We want to get you in and out. You can't spend hours in the gym. You can't go and do a back bi split and then spend 2 hours doing a leg day, doing a tricep split. And so really creating a program that's effective, sustainable, and very convenient with their schedule. They have other stuff to do. They got to get back to their job. fitness is not their main focus in life, but it doesn't mean that they have to sacrifice that. And so we want to be able to provide them with the results that they need while being conducive with their 9 to 5 schedule.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, man. And do you have any like plans, or does Madabolic have anything in place for like the online factor? Because like obviously with COVID and everything, like so many people are turning towards online and doing online coaching, online workouts, and there's so many options like to be as convenient as possible. People get the Peloton and the Tonal and all those programs. Does the gym offer things like that, or is it more so like just like you're going to come in, it's going to be in this time frame, and that's what we got?
Yep. So for right now, it's only in person. I think back when COVID had kind of started, and I don't know this for certain, but I think that they were exploring some type of online program. But a lot of what we do is unique to our methodologies. And so when you're doing something at home, you don't have the same result as you would in our gym, whether you don't have the equipment or you don't have the proper instruction. And so although things are shifting to online, we believe that in person is the right way to go, specifically for what we're teaching in our process.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I'm like curious on. I feel like my head's going more towards the business. Like I'm really curious. Like, so like the contract that you signed, is there like an agreement that you need to have? Is there a length of your contract with them? Is there certain responsibilities? Like, what is it like to be more on the ownership side of that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a very eye-opening process, and I'm grateful to be going through it because, my other businesses are pretty much all online and they don't require anything that a physical retail location would require: employees, overhead, all that fun stuff, leasing negotiations. And so on the business side, in terms of a contract, I forget the term that's used, but we essentially just have to open it within a reasonable time. And that's dependent on a lot of factors. Obviously, with vacancy rates and stuff like that, they're not going to hold it against us. But if we are stalling, then that's something that we can't do. But other than that, there's not a lot of limitations. And so Madabolic, the corporate team, has been great to work with. They're very flexible with what we can and can't do. So thus far, it's been great.
And then, do you have any business partners in on this with you, or is it just your own venture?
Yeah, so I do have one business partner. I was originally going to go at it alone, and he actually already owns 3 locations in Dallas, Texas. And during the pandemic, his wife and himself had moved here to Charleston. And so he wanted to open them here. And Madabolic said, well, hey, Brendan wants to open some as well. Maybe you guys should link up. And so we ended up meeting for a beer here in Charleston. And right away, we kind of hit it off, had great camaraderie. So we've been going through this process together and very grateful to have them.
The best types of deals in the business world are always like settled with a beer. Yeah. If you're drinking a beer and doing a business meeting, it always goes well. I found that. So that's sick. And then you said you have other businesses too. So obviously you needed some type of capital from prior to like get this venture going. So are you involved in any other fitness related like business, or is it kind of different?
Yeah, so no other fitness related businesses. I own a consulting company. It's called Velo Systems, velosystems.io if you want to check out the site. So we essentially work with SaaS, so software as a service companies that are looking to scale. Typically, they're doing currently anywhere between $50,000 and $100,000 in monthly revenue. And our goal is to get them to the 8-figure benchmark, doing $10 million a year. So we go in, basically model out their business, look at cost efficiencies, create all their marketing aspects, video, sales letter, funnel, everything like that. And then we focus on creating strategic partnerships. That originally started off only as a marketing agency, so consulting marketing. And as I gained experience with marketing, you kind of progress and you start to fill in the gaps, and eventually you can become a consultant where you kind of get a 360 overview of the entire business. And it's a lot more lucrative for myself. And obviously it creates better results because you have the full scope and you can have your hand in different parts of the business. But that is where I've acquired the capital to be able to invest in opportunities like Madabolic.
That's awesome.
Yo, and so I remember when being in Atlanta, you had already started like one of your own businesses. I assume one of those, like at that point in time. So did you go to college for business, and like right out of college, like did you already have like you knew you were going to start your own thing, or how did that all even come
Yeah.
into play initially?
That's a great question. It's kind of loaded because I think that it depends on the individual a lot as well as the situation. So I went to school for finance. My entire goal was to sit behind a computer all day and not talk to anyone. And so
Look at
when
you
I
now.
got,
Look at you now.
yeah, look at me now. There we go. And so honestly, I just got to my first job and I was like, I'm not making enough money. I have to do something on the side to get to where I want to go and to be able to have capital to invest. And so I started a marketing company, basically bought a bunch of online programs, learning how to market on different platforms, TikTok, Facebook, Google, YouTube, Instagram. I mean, even LinkedIn now. And so that's kind of where it all started. Very, very base level knowledge, working with companies, cold calling companies, saying, hey, I'll run your services for free just to gain experience. And from there, it's progressed over the last 2 or 3 years now into what it is today with Velo.
Wow.
That's amazing, bro. But so did you purchase those courses after you had already graduated? Like as
Yes,
after you
yeah,
had
I
that
did.
first job. Yeah, dude, that's yeah, I can relate to that heavily because I went to school for public relations, and then it wasn't until I had my first job, I was in sales doing tickets for the Falcons. I was like, I don't really want to do this anymore. So then I purchased my programs to get my certifications and change fields. So I think that's one thing, man. I think that a lot of people just think that they're finally done learning and can finally stop acquiring skills after school, and that's just like the worst idea I think that you could ever take with
I
you.
feel like I've learned more since college.
So much more, 100%.
especially in an entirely different field.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, man. Like that's what it's all about. So I just like totally, I'm on the same page with you there, man.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and so when it comes to, when it comes to running your own business, so how has that? So obviously, it sounds nice to like run your own business. You don't have to like work for anyone, like listen to anyone, like no supervisor. But it can obviously also have so many challenges. Like you're your own boss. Like you have to set your schedule. Like it's not going to get done unless you're on top of it. Have you always been someone that you can like rely on yourself, or what kind of like quality characteristic traits have you either acquired, adopted, have always had that have helped you be so successful and brought you to where you are now?
Yeah, for sure. So I think there's a lot that goes into it. First of all, there's no one solution for everyone. You don't have to be an entrepreneur. It's not the best fit for everyone. Like, you can make a really good salary at a 9 to 5 job and live life happily and have time with your family and everything like that. The quality for me is I just want to be in the game. I've always been a gamer, meaning I can't sit on the sidelines and just kind of go through and always have the same skill set and always be doing the same thing. And so I love business because any idea that I have, I can go and run with it. And so with hockey growing up, I mean, I moved away from home when I was 14 to move to Toronto by myself, and lived away from home that entire time. And so from a very young age, I've always understood that hard work and sacrifice usually lead to good results. And so I'm always someone that wants to put in the work now so that I don't have to put in the work later. And really in that same aspect, learning how to manage my time, learning how to make the most of my days, make them the most effective. So that's kind of what's culminated into what I'm doing now. And I know I said, I'm a gamer, but that really is it. Like, I just like to be in the game. I like to have skin in the game. I want to be pursuing something. I want to be chasing something that's larger than just myself and my family. I want to create a benefit for more people.
I love how you just said like create the benefit for more people, because I just launched my business in October, so it hasn't been very long. But one thing that I've learned like in these super early stages is that when you do have your own business, like the creativity flows all the time. Like it's nonstop. Like you're always thinking about like a new potential idea or something else to run with. And I've just found myself like like in the middle of the night, something will come and I'll just roll over in my bed, like throw it in my notes. And then sometimes I'll look the next morning and it's like, yo, that hits. Or the next time I'm like, what was I thinking? I'm probably just like sleep deprived or something. But like the creativity and the way, the different routes and paths that you can take that through your own business, I've genuinely found to be so enjoyable, because like not one day is ever the same.
Right.
Like every single day is always different, and it keeps it fresh and exciting, genuinely.
I always compare it. I say it's like a giant school project, and it's with every single subject.
Sure.
You know, you have your English skills, your math skills, your art skills.
Yeah.
All of these things that come together for one enormous project. That's almost like never ending.
Yeah. No,
so
dude,
it's
you're absolutely right.
It's different than working that conventional 9 to 5, but I always say it's hard, but I wouldn't trade it for anything else.
Yeah. I think it's super important to like align. If you are with a company, I think what would help people like feel fulfilled or where they're at is aligning with obviously like the mission, the values, and the vision of that company. Because I think what can be so powerful about owning your own business is that like it's on your ideals and your beliefs. Like, you know, you're working towards something that genuinely matters to you, but unfortunately a lot of people can just take the job for the salary and not really be aligned at all with the company. And so it's like you're kind of working for someone else's dream that you may or may not like actually be aligned with.
Right.
So that's just one thing. And obviously if you work for a great company, that'd be awesome. Like, it's an awesome thing to believe in it, but to not, it's like it can be hindering people's fulfillment, I think.
Totally.
But yeah, dude, another thing I wanted to get to. So obviously learning so much about business and going, venturing on your own, I feel like, and I know you're an avid reader, are there any like books, podcasts, like business people that you've like looked up to, learned a lot from, or anything like that, like resources that have helped you a lot?
Yeah, I would say that there's a lot of different resources that I kind of turn to, but they're not necessarily specific to what I'm trying to accomplish. So, for instance, I might learn a lot of lessons from the Bigger Pockets podcast. That's one of my favorite financial and just life podcasts. But I don't do anything with real estate right now, but I can take a lot of lessons that they teach. And a lot of these are just life lessons, right? Yeah, sure, they might apply to real estate, but you can apply them to anything in your life. One thing that I really do enjoy is number one, reading the Wall Street Journal every morning. I just started doing that about a month ago. Super helpful, helps me keep like up to date on stuff. But then Ray Dalio. So Ray Dalio's an economist, big author, very, very well respected. He just came out with a new book about changing world order and reserve currencies. But I just like to be well-rounded in all areas. So I want to, understand biohacking and certain biohacking techniques. I want to understand finance. I want to understand people management. I want to understand sales. And if you can do that, that's what's going to propel you forward to be a business owner, because you do have to understand not just one thing, but be very well-rounded with a lot of different aspects of the business.
Yeah, dude, I love that. And you said you start every day with like the Wall Street Journal. Me and Chris actually had a super long discussion yesterday, an awesome one, just about routines and how important they are to being able to have success. But honestly, just be like certain with your day and your priorities and your purpose. Have you found that like routines and like a system that fits you best have worked well, or are your days like totally all over the place?
Yeah, so I completely agree with what you said. I think routines are 100% the best and can start your day and totally change your life. I personally, my days are so hectic that every single day is different. And some days I want to wake up at 6 and I wake up and I'm right out of bed and I'm good to go. Other days I hit snooze and I'm sleeping until 8:30. And honestly, it was probably the best thing for my day, because now I have more energy in the afternoon. And so I'm very flexible. I have habits that I've acquired, but I don't need to do them every day in order to perform how I want to perform. And so, I try to go for a walk. I try to have a berry smoothie. I try to fast for, 5 or 6 hours. But if I don't do any of those things, I'm still fine and I'm still going to be able to get through my day. So I don't want to create that dependency on the routine where if I don't do it, then I'm not successful. But I don't want to take away from what you said, because I 100% agree that routines are the way to go.
Yeah.
No, dude, and that's very valuable, I believe, like where you're at. That's a great space to be at, because being too dependent, when you're thrown off a little bit, it's like, oh shit, like now what? And then everything's all over
We
the
were just
place.
talking about this last night, but I like literally, I used to be a creature of habit. Like I woke up at 4 a.m. and I was asleep by like 8 p.m. like clockwork every day, ate at the same time, did the same things, read my book at the same everything. And then as I've like grown and got into the real world and now like own a business, that's been like thrown to the wind. My schedule changes literally every day, and I'm like trying to learn how to structure my chaos and like. And so Brandon and I had this really great discussion, but I think like learning how to. So a hard task for me was learning to go from not so structured to like flexible. So it is, and as a business owner, you have to be, because things come up like left and right all day long. So if you're depending on like certain time frames, it never works the way you want it to. But I think also for me is like finding like the priorities of like what matters most, and then like trying to stick to those regardless of what happens, and just keep on moving forward.
Yeah, dude, absolutely, my friend. But yeah, dude, no, that makes a lot of sense what you're saying, and I think that's definitely like a high valued skill that a lot of people don't. It gets a little bit overlooked,
Right.
Like how you can have the routine, but also adjust and be spontaneous.
I think it's just as important to be able like do both.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, brother. Yo, I kind of low key want you to sell me on like someone. So like you got your Charleston location, like Madabolic. Like I don't want to do like the whole like a sales interview type thing, but like why should people like in our age, like people our age, let's say someone from Albany, mainly our listeners, someone moves to Charleston, like if they need why shouldn't they go to the local box gym, and why should they maybe check out your location and just sell me, just I know we talked about it earlier, but like just sell me on it. Like,
Sell me this pen.
Sell me this pen.
Tell me this pen.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously the main selling point is getting them into a class and having them experience it themselves. Nothing sells like experience. So, but if someone were to come up to me on the street, hey, why should I look at Madabolic? First of all, we can get you into a class for free. So no risk to you. See if you like it. It's a great environment, community environment. It is going to be strength-based. It is nutrition-based. And we value work to rest ratios, and we are focused on delivering results for the high performing individual. So it might not be a great fit for somebody. It might be in their best interest if they have time to go to the local box gym, do the exercises that they want, spend an hour and a half, 2 hours in there. But for the high performing individual who needs to get back to their job, who's running businesses, who has high career trajectory, whatever it may be, we offer the best solution to get in shape, stay in shape, and do it in a a good amount of time, so that it's not taking away from your schedule. And so what I would say is it's not for everybody. And I don't think anything is for everybody. I'm a big believer that everyone is different. Like a lot of times you go on social media and people try to push their ideas, their opinions on you, which is great. If you can pull little golden nuggets out of there and use them, awesome. But to apply like a one size fits all solution usually doesn't work, and it's not true. So like when you talk about entrepreneurship, when you talk about business, when you talk about fitness, health, anything like that, routines, no routine is suitable to every single person. No nutrition plan is suitable to every person. And so Madabolic offers a customized approach with the work to rest ratios. And so we have trainers every single class that are going around and treating it like it's a one-on-one session where they're working with you, making sure that your form's correct, making sure that you're doing the exercises properly. And so I think it just provides a really efficient solution to people that can't get into the gym or otherwise wouldn't know how to create an effective plan.
I love that, dude, and that was a great sale. But the one thing I do want to touch on is, so you did say something about nutrition. What did the type of nutrition, like guidance or plan, like meal plans, or how do you help your clients like nutritionally?
Yeah, so we set up an entire nutrition plan based on their goals, objectives, body type. We take blood work, test data, everything like that. and really put together a plan for them. One thing that we are very focused on, and if you go to some of the influencers and owners of other metabolics, they really preach living your life. And so if you don't, like, a lot of stuff out there is saying, oh, like, you have to, minimize your calories. And that's something that I do. I try to be in a calorie deficit when I can, but you can't eat like a kid. Like, you can't go and have a 1200 calorie diet, 1200 calorie diet. You have to feed yourself, and you have to make sure that you're properly nourished. You have to take rest days. Don't overtrain, because that leads to exhaustion, and eventually you're going to veer off the path that you were on. And so it's really just about making sure that it's something that's sustainable. So being able to stay on that workout plan, stay on that nutrition plan. And if you have a cheat day, you have a cheat day. If you overeat, you overeat. But ultimately being able to stay on that track and seeing results.
Yeah, dude. No, I love it, man. It makes total sense. And that's pretty amazing, dude. That, like, the technology at this point, that given like blood tests and stuff, like it's just like, but you have to, because there's just so many options that are coming up now. So like, if you don't separate yourself in one way or another, or offer something that the community or the certain demographic, like, you're not going to last. Especially, the good thing is the fitness industry is constantly increasing, like, each and every year, especially like because of like COVID, with more options. But it is something that, like, you have to separate yourself some way or the other from all the competition. And no, it sounds like a great product, man, for real. Yeah. I do just have a couple kind of closing questions here, so you can answer this any way you want. What is some of the best? Actually, I'll just do the other one. I'll end on the positive. What's some of the worst advice you've ever received, business-wise? Like a quote you didn't agree with? Anyone trying to push their agenda on you? Like, what is some of the worst advice you're just like, God, that's brutal. I don't agree with that at all.
Yeah, for sure. So it's different for everybody. For me, the less is more. So I don't believe in that. I believe in more is more. And so, and that's kind of how I approach things. So like, I love to push myself. I'm actually exploring another business venture to bring to Charleston. I'm trying to get out to the location to meet these guys. I'm like, guys, I don't have time. Can we do it over Zoom? But I love pushing myself. I want to do everything that I can. I don't want to do less. I always want to do more. Yeah.
I love that. No, that's a great answer. I don't believe less is more, actually. That was great, man. Let's flip it to the
proud
positive.
but never satisfied.
Yeah,
Proud but never satisfied.
Exactly. And then so what's some of the best advice you've ever received, brother?
Yeah, this is easy. And so it's saying we will see. And so there's an old Chinese proverb, and I learned this when I had done an internship out in California at an asset management company. My director told me this proverb, and it's always stuck with me. And when something bad happens or something good happens, you don't know whether it's bad or good until it plays out. And so you have to say, like, we'll see. Will something happen? We'll see. Like, are you going to make money? We'll see. Is this a good decision? We'll see. Because if you say yes or no, then you have an opportunity to be wrong, right? And so if someone says like, oh, is Tesla stock going to go up? Well, we'll see, right? Like, I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say yes. We have to let it play out and see what it is. And so just let things digest, take your time, don't jump to conclusions right away, and just, let it play out and take time in your decisions.
I know the exact Chinese, like the proverb, or I know, because the guy says maybe. He's like, when they're talking, he's like essentially, I can't run through the whole thing, but essentially, like, the kid's on a horse, he breaks his leg, and the neighbors are like, oh, that's such bad luck, and the guy's like, maybe. And then, like, the town or whatever, someone goes to war, and they come, like, to draft kids his age to go to war, but he couldn't go because he broke his leg. Yeah. So, like, oh, that's such good luck. And he's like, maybe. And it just keeps going back and forth. Wow. So I love that, man. That's awesome, awesome advice, brother.
Exactly.
All right, and just like the last one, just like a fun one. I do remember I told you I was going to bring up Harry Potter because I remember we talked about the books. Did you watch the most recent, the HBO reunion thing?
Oh, right on January 1st. I
Let's
loved
go.
it.
Let's go. Bro, I thought that was awesome, dude.
I got a little teary-eyed for sure.
And so which Harry Potter is your favorite, brother?
So I'm a book guy, so I can't go by the movies, but I love the seventh book because it brings together the whole series. You see connections from every book leading up to the seventh book get all culminated in this one big finale, and just absolutely phenomenal. So I would have to say book 7.
Book 7. Well, that's like the second best movie, anyways. So you're spot on with that as well. I did not read the books, but
Yes.
huge movie Harry Potter guy over here. Yo, Brendan, dude, thank you so much for coming on, brother. Genuinely, dude, you're gonna do phenomenal things, great things. Your head is so in the right place, bro. And I'm just super excited to see how everything unfolds for you, man. It was a pleasure to have you on today, bro.
Thank you. Yeah, seriously, thank you. It was great to connect and hear a little bit more about Madabolic and kind of how your head's turning.
Yeah, I would say because Chris always wraps it up with the takeaways, but this one we unpacked so much today.
But I think the biggest takeaway is that more is better.
Yeah, more is better. I think that's the main takeaway to do it. Less is not better.
When you think you're working hard, work harder. Proud but never satisfied, work hard. That's episode 10. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, brother. Yo, take care.
Chris,
Wait.
Brandon, thank you so much.
One more thing. Where can people find you and get updates about your ventures and all that stuff?
Yeah, Brendan_Shane on Instagram. I don't know my TikTok handle, so I'll get that to you. But that's pretty much it for now. Velosystems.io. If you're a SaaS or e-com company, check us out.
Perfect.
Hell yeah. All right, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Brendan.